I'm Priscilla from InspectRealEstate, and today I'm joined by David Judge from Affordable Staff. How are you going, David?
Very good. How are you going? All right?
Good. Thanks for joining me on the couch today.
Glad to be here.
Wonderful. I wanted to invite David on to the InspectRealEstate couch today because I want to find out a lot more about your business. So,
Yes.
How did you get started?
Interesting question. So we started off outsourcing about 5 years ago with Affordable Staff, and before that we had an online marketing business.
Yep.
So what actually happened is the business was growing at a really good rate, and I started finding it really hard to get good talent in Australia that could actually perform the tasks that I needed them to perform. So I started looking overseas, and the first place I looked was in Bangladesh.
Okay.
And then we set up an office over in India, and we'd outsourced as well to Pakistan, around Europe, some of the countries around Europe, because you get some really good coders, etc. from
Yep.
Europe. And then some of our clients came along to us and they said, hey, you've been getting these people, and we've spoken to a couple. Do you think you could get someone for me who can do this sort of administration work or tracking of jobs or this or that? And then it just sort of started to grow from there. And then we thought, hey, you know what, this is actually growing at a reasonable rate. We should probably start investing more time in it and go that particular direction. And that's when we started Affordable Staff.
Wow. So you actually didn't have a real estate or property background, essentially?
No, not at the very beginning. Although we were working with quite a few property management and real estate agencies around Australia,
Yep.
handling quite a fair amount of their online marketing activities.
Yep.
Pro Rentals
Yep.
was a client back in the day. So
Wow.
yeah.
And so what are some of the main tasks that people in the real estate industry outsource?
So from a property management perspective, it's a lot of administration stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So things like your processing applications and another really big task as well is when your inspection reports.
Yep.
So actual your property managers going out, and they're going out there and they're completing part of the property management report. Then they're sending it through to the person in our office over there, their full-time team member.
Yep.
And they're actually completing a lot of the administration side, getting ready for the property managers to actually send out. So
Excellent.
and there are 71 tasks now, because we've gone and
Wow.
compiled it all. 71 different tasks. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I don't think that there was 71 tasks back in the Pro Rentals days that we outsourced to you.
No, no.
I wish there had have been Andrew,
Yes.
if you're watching right now. Would have been amazing. So tell me, I guess you might get or often get asked this. Is this, is there an issue in the industry, or is there a thought pattern that it's taking away from jobs within the Australian workplace?
Yeah, and that's a really good question, because we've actually been along to quite a few of the conferences, property management conferences this year and last year. And it's a common question that people come up to us and ask. And you know what, I'd be lying if I'd say that outsourcing in some ways does actually take jobs out locally.
Yeah.
In the property management industry, we haven't found that to be the case, and in real estate, because first of all, there's a shortage of property managers in Australia at the moment.
Yeah.
If you look on Seek, people are finding it difficult to actually get property managers. On top of that, Damien, who works with us, who specialises around the real estate side of the business, before he actually came along to us, he was a client 2 times in 2 different agencies. And one of the agencies he was working in, which had a rent roll of about 1,400 properties, he was working up until 7 o'clock every night.
Yeah.
And he was working 6 days a week.
Yeah.
So there was a big issue with burnout within the industry, and a lot of our clients have said exactly the same thing. So they say to us, before we were working with you, a lot of our staff, we were experiencing issues with absenteeism, training up somebody.
Yep.
So investing all that time in training up somebody locally here in Australia, and then they burn out and they leave.
Yeah, exactly. It's a huge cost to any business when there's staff turnover.
Yeah.
I think one of my old directors at Rockend told me that it cost a business 1.5 times someone's annual salary.
That's right.
To replace them, and that sort of cost on business, any size business, is definitely hurts. So I can definitely see why people take up outsourcing options. So outsourcing versus managed outsourcing, what are the differences?
So outsourcing is where you'd take a particular task that you would outsource. So there'd be like a single individual task you'd be outsourcing. We focus more on managed outsourcing, or insourcing as we call it.
Yeah.
And managed outsourcing is where you actually have a full-time person that works within our office in the Philippines for the person here.
Okay.
2 hours time difference.
More personalised as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, and it's 2 hours time difference, so it's the same as Perth. And the big focus is incorporating that outsourced team member into the business, understanding the systems and processes specific to that business, and then having the local property managers, you know, passing on those administration tasks onto the person.
Yeah, and I guess that would be a big fear with any business that, you know, it's all well and good to have an outsourced person or managed outsourced person working within the business, but are they going to know, you know, your exact process for maintenance? Are they going to know your exact process? So I'm guessing the introduction or the training that you give them before they come is quite involved?
Yeah, so we focus on, we're not actually a turnkey solution, so we don't actually supply a fully trained person that has an understanding of every single system and procedure for every single client. We actually trialled that a little while ago, where they would say, okay, we're going to upskill people in, you know, all these different types of CRMs, and they're going to know how to use these different types of software. And then what actually happened is we placed them with the client, and then the client had to spend an additional amount of time training them specific on how they do their own systems and processes. Yeah. So what we focus on, because we have 2 people full-time in our office over in the Philippines who have knowledge across a majority of the different softwares which are used in the industry. We have Damien, who's our local support here. We have Eva as well, who acts as a support around the onboarding part. Yep. And we focus on helping the agencies connect really well with their team and giving them a set process that we've used in our experience lots of times and on how to actually help and assist with that engagement. Yeah.
So communicating would, you know, be really key to it all coming together and being a benefit for both parties. So, you know, are there any particular size businesses that take up your outsourcing?
Yeah, in this particular industry, we've got from 50, and that's for an agency which is obviously looking at growing at a really, really fast rate, and our largest is 7,000 properties.
Wow.
So and it's interesting because if you look at around 300 properties as an example, the person that you'd be putting into the role would be performing they'll be performing a really, really broad range of tasks, because obviously each of the different tasks is only going to take up a certain amount of time for you to perform. And what they actually do is they also perform certain PA tasks as well. So they're assisting with the agency, because they're at that particular size where they generally don't have a BDM yet. So they're trying to figure out, you know, how we sort of bridge that gap to get to the next level. Yeah. And then if you look at, you know, agencies of around 700, they're again different, because you normally have a BDM. You're trying to decide if you're going to bring on another BDM. You've got that 10% drop off that everybody knows about in the industry. So your BDM's trying to, you know, get that for 700, trying to get those additional 70 on, as well as, you know, make up so they can continue to try and grow the rent roll, so you're not, you know, not reaching that stagnant level. And that's when you start allocating again more properties to the property managers. So the average number of properties per property manager, like for Damien, he was managing between 150 to 180, and 180, he said he was doing it really badly. So you can imagine how that's a reflection for the, you know, for the customers and the business.
The quality that they're getting, having a system like yours, obviously a lot better.
Yeah, especially with the support, because there's a big focus for us. There's a big focus for us around the supporting of the local staff within a business. Yeah. Because working with a number of clients now, when we were doing the online marketing side of the business, working with clients then and them telling us how horrible it is, how horrible it is sometimes. It's not a forgiving job, but we've found that, you know, it can free up the time of the local people, and it gives them a lot more options to be able to, you know, focus on doing the stuff that they should be doing as a property manager. Yeah. I mean, you know, that's like what they're licensed to do.
Yeah, the fun stuff of listing new business and, you know, conversing with your landlords and tenants. And, you know, I know that when I was managing my portfolio, I managed 242 properties, and it was a lot. And, you know, we worked really, really hard. Yes. We didn't have 71 items that were outsourced. And I think that the quality probably wasn't there on a lot of the properties, but if we had had a system like this, like it, you know, would have been, and it would have enabled us to probably manage bigger portfolios, probably better as well.
One of our clients, their property management staff, in between, I think it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, in between 10 a.m. in the morning to 3 p.m. in the afternoon, no one's in the office. They're out there doing what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah. And all of their support administration team are in our office in the Philippines. They know what they have to do. They've been working with them now for a couple of years. Yeah. And they're just there performing all the tasks. The property managers come back in, everything's done. They can have afternoon tea. They can go home at a reasonable hour. Yeah.
And so, what's the financial benefit for an office?
Financial benefit: an outsourced team member will be somewhere between a third to a quarter of the price of a person that you would be employing locally. So that's I guess that's the direct financial benefit.
Yep.
The indirect financial benefit, when you have a look at having the support there for the local property managers, the ability for those property managers to go out there and get more business because their time is freed up.
Yep.
And when you know yourself, when you're able to go there and get all the tasks done, all that front end client facing stuff done, the client satisfaction improves, which means they're going to obviously want to stay with you and they're going to refer more people. So that's what we've found, that by having that, there's lots of little things add up, which then have that financial gain of a continued growth of rent roll.
Yeah, definitely. My property manager actually in Rockhampton, she outsources a lot of her work,
Yes.
which does enable her to converse more with the landlords. I mean, I hear from her all the time, probably more than what I really need to, but it gives that level of service that I probably wouldn't get from any other agency.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's one of two people in the business, so and I think they're over about 300 managements now, so it's definitely working for her.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so what are some of the things that people ask when they come to engage your services that is a sticking point for them as to why they may not proceed with your services?
There's a couple of things, and that's a really good question. The one common thing that comes up when people are talking to us, they want to understand what level of support there is.
Yeah.
So they may have outsourced beforehand, and they've gone to company XYZ, they've employed an outsourced team member, and then they start day one, and then that's it. There's no contact from the company whatsoever. So they want to be able to understand that they're going to have that support that's there. And like for us, we have our local Australian support as well as supervisors overseas that can be contacted by clients as well. So a big thing around support. And then there's some really interesting questions. Like we had a client come on board, and they said, "Oh, we were actually looking at another outsourcing company." Then they received they sent us a bill to set up and connect the internet, and the first month's electricity. And
Oh, wow.
It's like, why is that? So understanding if there are any hidden costs.
Yep.
So like exactly what they're getting when they're employing a person. How much that's going to cost, and then the third most common thing is understanding the true cost benefit around what it's actually going to mean for a business. And then finally, they want to be able to understand how to do the integration. So that's where we come in, because we have experience in the outsourcing side as well as in the real estate property management world. So
yeah, awesome. And for anyone out there listening, like if they wanted to engage your services, like what's the best way for them to contact you?
So you can go through to our website, so affordablestaff.com.au. And on there's a contact form that you can get in contact with us. There's also a 1300 number that you can ring to come through and have a conversation with us as well.
Yeah, and outside of property management, real estate, admin tasks, is there anything outside of that industry or outside of those processes that principals or real estate officers ask you about or engage you with, like website design or?
Yeah. So we actually have a team of website designers they just grew because all of our existing clients, once they come on board and they employ an outsourced team member, then we'll be talking to them. We'll say, your website needs to be updated.
Yeah, it sort of opens that Pandora's box.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now we just have a full-time team of people. We did some work for you. I mean, we've been working with InspectRealEstate for years now.
Tenant app.
Yes, that's right. So
a new website that's up.
Yeah. So
it's awesome.
So they engage us around a lot of that side of the business, because we have a fairly long history around online marketing as well, and understanding the key foundational principles around online marketing and how to improve the exposure of a website, et cetera. Clients actually come to us and they say, "Oh, look, if my person, Jenny, has extra time, what other little social media and what other little tasks could they be performing?" So then we'll give them advice and we'll say, "Hey, look, this is what we've found has worked really, really well for a client. This is what we're doing ourselves personally at the moment." Because we produce a lot of video content and we're out there in the social space and the email marketing space quite a fair amount.
Yeah,
so,
and in the market at the moment, or now, it's everyone wants to have a digital footprint. Everybody, you need to be top of mind. You need to be out there on those platforms, and for a lot of real estate officers, they don't know where to start with it. So
yes, there's a lot of information out there in the marketplace, and it's a question of what makes sense in the offline world to do is exactly the same in the online world.
Oh, wow,
so,
that's a good
and so if it makes sense to, like for a property manager or a person who owns a real estate agency, they want to be seen as the Lord Mayor of their area. They want to be they want you know, they want to be knowledgeable in everything that's happening, and they want everyone to see, or they want to be able to show everybody that they know about the area, that they understand where the cafes are, where the schools are, where the parks are, all that sort of information.
Yeah.
And then if you can go and take that and you can share that on and as a part of your digital footprint, then that positions you as an authority within your industry, and that's the sort of stuff that Google likes.
Yeah, yeah, and then you become a trusted advisor within, you know, your community, and
Yes.
thus increasing hopefully business for the agency.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, awesome. Did you have anything that you wanted to ask Inspect Real Estate, or?
Oh well, the book. The
yeah.
book.
Yeah.
I wanted to see the book. I haven't seen it yet. No,
have you
no.
not? Have you heard about it?
No, I have heard about the book. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm actually gifting this to David for coming on
Ooh,
today.
fantastic.
It's the Flight of Pro Rentals book. So it's being written by Lee Woodward. And it's available through his website as well, but you know, you're lucky enough to get one, and it's about the story of pro rentals. So
Yes.
for anyone out there listening that hasn't heard this, you know, how Inspect Real Estate became what it is today, it was because Andrew owned a 100% property management business for almost 14 years. So this is the story about everything that he learned, essentially. There we are. And yeah, it's for you for coming on.
Fantastic.
So thank you very much for joining me.
Gin off a minute?
No,
No, I'm only kidding.
I have read it. No, you're not in it.
Oh.
No. So tell me, like, what were the things at Pro Rentals that you outsourced?
Well, we were handling a lot of the online marketing stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting here going, I'm pretty sure I did like everything.
Yeah, that's right,
and
that's
worked until midnight.
Yes.
Yeah, so online marketing.
So the
Cool.
online marketing
Yeah.
stuff that we were focusing on.
Which was
in the
massive.
business.
Like
Yeah.
you know, we put a lot of money into marketing the business
Yes.
and trying to generate leads to, you know, for the team to be able to convert into business.
I was talking to Andrew. You guys got 3 leads, or the Pro Rentals website had 3 leads come through from it last week.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
same.
I know, the website's still up.
So that's the work that we did.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
no,
it's not, but it's part of it.
Yeah, so, you know, back then we were engaging services like yours. Do you feel that, you know, the rate that it's moving, the rate that the industry is changing, more people are engaging services like yours to minimise
Yeah.
those costs to their business?
They are.
Yeah.
I'd say it's massively upwards trending at the moment. And the advice that I would give to anybody that's looking within the industry is make sure that you're using a trusted resource.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to go onto somewhere like Upwork, you know, which is a common example. Easy to go onto somewhere like Upwork and just, you know, go out there and think, oh, I can go and get someone for $5, $6, $7 an hour.
Yeah.
And we've invested a lot in our infrastructure. Things like we have an incorporated business set up in the Philippines, which means that we have non-disclosure agreements, and they're legally binding non-disclosure agreements. If you don't have an incorporated business set up within the Philippines, and you're using an outsourced company that don't have that, then there are no agreements in place. They're all handshake agreements.
Yeah, yeah.
And we work with
Things
a
can get messy.
lot of accountants, financial planners, and loans brokers. So there's a lot of security and infrastructure we've had to put in place to prevent the theft of client data.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm, you know, obviously on LinkedIn, and I think I get probably about 5 emails a day from outsourced people
Yes.
wanting me to engage their services to, you know, do X, Y, Z. Unless they can turn up at my house and clean, then, you know, I don't need you.
Yes.
But yeah.
Do you need your house cleaned, do you?
I do.
Sorry, we can't help you with
Actually,
that.
I've just found someone, so I'm
Yes.
pretty excited.
Yeah, I had a outsourced company contact me yesterday, asking if I had anything that I wanted to outsource.
They didn't read your LinkedIn
No,
properly
they
then?
didn't, not at all. And that was on LinkedIn.
And I guess, you know, that's, you know, just a rookie mistake, and that's
Yes.
just because they're, you know, blanket targeting.
Shotgun marketing.
Yeah, yeah.
We focus on relationship development.
Yeah,
you
and
know,
knowing your client and,
Yes.
you know, understanding their business needs and understanding their business, their processes. You know, there's so much more to it than just picking someone to do, you know, your arrears calls, essentially.
Yes. And that's why we specialise in specific industries instead of just the blanket approach to outsourcing.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, very good.
It's nice to see you.
Yes, nice to see you
And
again.
thanks everyone for tuning in to Inspect Real Estate's live broadcast. Bye.
Bye, guys.